Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All Weekend Warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members-only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our Weekend Warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.
person like myself, I'm not like a young adult that does video games. And to me, they just got the knowledge to operate this stuff. They can just see everything. Me, if I'm not kicking up mud with my trolling motor, I don't think I'm fishing. I just turn all of that off and just go fishing.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of forward-facing sonar?
It has its advantages. I asked Ocnifo that same question when I went to the Raleigh show, and I asked him, have you ever heard of the floating fly? The floating fly was used up on Holston and up in West Virginia area, and he said that forward-facing sonar and the floating fly was the early version of it. That's what he said, and he just started laughing after that. But it's a computer game to me. Do I know how to operate it successfully? Sometimes, sometimes not. But most of the times, I feel that the fish can feel the vibrations from the comb when it sends out pings like a submarine does. And I think the fish get adjusted to that. And you'll see people move. In other words, if I'm casting from here to you at 15 feet, and they get used to that ping and they see baits coming over and over, the next time you may have to move back to 20, 25 feet. So I think it's a good thing for businesses all the way around and everything. I think it's going a long way, and there's going to be more improvements on it. Rance and Garmin are both good quality people.
What have you seen change? I did a tier list show not too while ago talking about Bugs Island, Kerr Reservoir and stuff, and it was a mixed bag. I think it got listed as like a B- versus like the Potomac and the Chesapeake, which was like legendary or an A+. Is it in a down phase, an up phase? Where do you think it is at?
Well, this past October, I was able to fish with a buddy, and we went to the Potomac to fish. Practice went well. The second day, the wind came in. Fortunately, we both were able to come up with a total of 15-20, and we were able to win the event, which puts me on the state team. And I've been trying to do that for 30 years. So I finally made one of my goals. Bugs Island right now, it hasn't been as strong as it has in the past 10 years. A lot of spotted bass have come aboard. Some of them are large, but a lot of times you catch a lot of spotted bass on Gaston and Bugs Island. And I think they've kind of increased, and I think it hurts the largemouth a little bit. They're not going to take the place of the largemouth. They'll still be there.
Why is it that they don't have the water levels where they should be consistently? It's just like, I always remember in high school them talking about they're always in the bushes, and it seems the last couple of years it's rarely in the bushes.
It all depends on the rainfall up in the mountains. That dwindles down, comes down, and it puts the level where they like to have it. And then they're draining that into Gaston. Gaston has to maintain a certain level for the dock owners and all of that, to the best of my understanding. And what they do, they pull it straight out of Bugs. You may go there and it'll be 317 on Thursday, and you go back Saturday, it might be 315, so they drop the level 2 feet right then. And that changes the position of the fishing. Everybody wants to hit the bushes. One year, they may not be in the bushes. They'll be on the outer side of the bushes, on the drop-offs.
No, that is kind of interesting to think about there with that with that fluctuating water, it really is dependent on the time of year and how much rain. Because the Army Corps of Engineers, sadly, it's not about fishing. They have another mandate by, their bosses about what it's supposed to be like. And that's just frustrating, because if they would actually keep the water level a little bit higher consistently, oh my God, that fishery would be insane.
It would. You would stay in the bushes. I've been up there and took my boat and went in the trees, went behind the pine trees, fished the bushes, and you had 3 or 4 feet there in that locality, And then a year later, you can go back. The water, it doesn't even get to the trees. It all depends on Mother Nature and what they think is the best for the scenario.
What do you think the futures of casting kids is?
It's growing.
That's good.
It's really growing. That's our future. The casting for kids is teaching young adults different techniques. And also you can, I've seen a lot of adults come out and try it. It's not as easy as everybody thinks it is, but it's a technique to show people different ways to approach the fish, whether you're going to do it just pitching, flipping, or casting. Your distance has a lot to do with it. It's 10, 20, and 30 feet. But the 10 foot is like you're flipping. And what you want to do is a nice, soft presentation, because if you're casting or pitching at a stump, you make a big splash, 90% of the time that fish will swim off.
Yep. Dude, you're so right about that. And again, so I don't know if you were, I'm not that old, but anyway, back in my day, there was the Dulles show, or the Dulles Expo Center up in Northern Virginia. They used to have a fishing show up there. And I will participate in that Casting Kids event.
Right.
And that Casting Kids event had, after that one, there was a regional that was held here.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Casting Kids, I would not know about high school bass fishing. I would not know about any of this stuff. It was my gateway drug, pardon the pun, to get into this. And
right.
It is vitally important that we keep this program going.
Yes, indeed. We need to push this program because the younger generation, if we start them out 10, 12 years old, 13, 14 old, most of those kids go into the high school program of fishing. Then it goes to the college levels. And then after that, a lot of them want to go into professional fishing. And if they pursue the dream, always remember, try to pursue the dream that you have. And hopefully the good Lord will give you enough strength and courage to continue with that. That's what it's all about. Just try to follow that dream.
What do you think about, talk about as much as you want to, like the evolution of bass, the Federation, that conversation. It's kind of interesting what BASS thinks about that over the years.
Between TBF and bass, well, I belong to both.
Okay.
I'm a lifetime member of bass. That's been 35, 40 years ago when I joined for lifetime, okay? There may be a few controversial issues, but they're both on the same page altogether, I think. Because what they want to do, they want to get the youth involved. And the youth is going to save the fishing industry before it's over with. As they grow older, parents, grandparents buy them boats, or they have a job, they buy their own boat. They pursue that dream. That's what it's all about, the dream, buddy.
It really is about the dream, and because people get so worried about the upper echelons. What is Major League Fishing doing? What is Bass doing? What is the NPFL doing? But we don't ever ask, like, well, how's the health of the Bass Federation? How is the health of TBF? What is the health of all these grassroots organizations? Because if it's not for them, you're not going to have the upper echelons. Like, that's just how it works.
And yes, I think you're right. I think it's going to happen. The TBF, Virginia Bass Federation, and all like that, fine organization. Been with them for years, and if the good Lord allows me, I'm going to stay a few more years with them. That's the goal. I was fortunate to meet the owner of the place. He's a very nice man. He's all responsible. And Virginia, I have heard, is the one he kind of falls back on a little bit.
Really?
Because we sort of saved it, probably giving the pathway for others to try to follow, which I hope is true. I've heard that rumor. I can't swear to it. But I hope everybody just comes together and push this thing forward. That's all we need.
Going back to that the tier list I made, and the reason that's such I think a pivotal point in my show. My show's 3 years old last November. And I was like, I'm going to do a tier list of all the fisheries. So let me just sit down on a Saturday morning and let's see how many fisheries in Virginia. And I was like, holy shit.
There's a lot of them.
Okay, this is not going to be an hour because you think of the big ones, Lake Anna's, Gaston's, the Potomac, the James. But when you get to that next level of the Chesdon's, Philpott, and then you go down to all these little reservoirs.
Sandy River, that. Sandy River. A lot of these places you have to use 9.9 motors. Mm-hmm. A lot of the lakes down at Norfolk, you can only use a 9 or less, and trolling motor. A lot of them now have gone to just trolling motors because of
politics.
No, not really. Some of the lakes have got a lot of stumps and stuff in that nature, and you can tear your stuff up quickly.
Okay, gotcha.
So if you're going to, you don't want to put a large boat in there and, take off with a 250 on the back and you heading across, the next thing you know, your little unit's gone. I mean, that's
send it.
That's $12,000 to $15,000 right out of your pocket. So a lot of the lakes, like I said, I think that's the reason kayak fishing has come on strong. It really has. Now, we haven't come to that adventure over here in the Virginia Bass Federation.
Has there been talks about that with other federations?
There has been just local talk, nothing specifically or anything like, I don't know, it may come to that.
Yeah, I am so torn on this because the thing that's cool, and as you guys know, transparency, I fish out of a boat. I also have a kayak. And the one thing I like about MVK being with the kayak organization is our tournaments are on bodies of water that are this tier below. We'll go to Sleeters like Occoquan Reservoir, Sandy, like these places where you can't use your 250, but you can have tournaments on some cool bodies of water and you can stay local. And I think that's I'm fascinated from a historical perspective. This booming kayak fishing, how many more people are going to get the bug to fish, and then they're going to be like, okay, now I want a bass boat, and I now want to do this, this, and this, because let's be real, it is a little cheaper than going out and buying one of those beautiful Rangers Brian has over there, because
you're probably looking at about $100,000.
Oh, dude, it's the GDP of an African country. It's insane. I mean, it's $150,000, man. It's like, good Lord.
My grandson went to Cherokee when he was in college. He went up there and fished a tournament, so I have 2 bass boats. I really got problems. But I allowed him to use my older boat up there. So we went up, and it was amazing. We went to Walmart up there in Cherokee. This young gentleman pulled up, and I bet he had over $250,000 worth of stuff in truck and boat. I would have loved to have a grandpa like that to help me with that thing. But it's amazing. The youth going on right now from high school on up to college, it's amazing what they have to work with.
Agreed.
And it doesn't seem to have a dollar value in it anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing. It's going to keep on growing. And it all starts right over here from Casting for Kids, Bass Pro, and all of them. They do all the things for the kids and all that kind of stuff. What Virginia Bass Federation does, and other organizations. A lot of organizations really, really, really help out a lot.
We've got a couple of great little things here. A couple on Facebook. Roger of Kayak Magazine. Roy, I'm sorry. That was a stroke I just had. R-O-Y, it's Roy, not Roger. My God. Sorry, guys. I know a guy that would be welcome to cover the transition from kayak to boat. Absolutely. We have another one that says, Michael, the list you put together was important because so many folks think they only can fish on the bigger, more famous bodies of water. There are so many great smaller locations. The important thing is to just get out and fish, boat, kayak, bank. It doesn't matter, just fish. I 100% agree with that. And it gets back to like how you get started with the casting kids. And then how many youth opportunities just for fishing clubs are there now? Because when I was a kid, it was very, very small.
It's hard to say. I mean, it's a lot. My region, if I put on a region event, and you were a boat captain and you had 2 kids or could fish, age groups and all like that in there, in the proper age groups, they can go fish.
Right now. It's working right now.
And we weigh their fish just like we weigh the adults tournament. And then they go from there. We have Tim Mick is the youth person in the Virginia Bass Federation. We send, if we have a tournament, we send the records back to him. He sends them to wherever he has to send them. I don't know where he sends them, to the upper echelon somewhere, but he sends all the information up there.
And then we have Tim. Who's this person? Tim Mick. Tim Mick.
Yes.
32. And then he says, I am the youth DIR-TBF.
Youth director for TBF.
Listen to him. He can speak English. I sure as hell can't read, apparently. So 32. There you guys go. And I will put, when I re-upload this bad boy, because this is right now associated with the Richmond Expo as well. It's on their Facebook as well. When I re-upload this, I'll put a link to the Federation, Casting Kids, all that jazz, so you can click on it and find it pretty easily. Where are you guys going to be the next couple of months?
Well, personally, I will be fishing South Holston March the 1st.
Ooh.
That's the second state qualifying event that we're co-angler, the Virginia Bass Federation puts on 4.
Okay.
It's 4 qualifiers, then they have a 2-day. That's the last one. And like I was saying, Angler of the Year and co-angler, they're starting a new thing for that. You get the best 4 out of the 5 for points. You get we got 200 points on the Potomac. Thank the good Lord that I caught the last fish at 3:20, and the thing was over at 3:30, and I just took the rod and laid it down. I'm done. It was a long day.
What is South Holston like? Have you been there before, or this will be your first time?
No, I've been there 2 other times. Year before last. It's where this forward-facing sonar is going to come into effect big time. I hope I know how to run it well enough to use it. But like I said, I'm a bank fisherman. If my trolling motor's kicking up mud, then I'm having a good day. But it's going to be like a crankbait, like a shad wrap, I do believe. Maybe a small hair jig. Water is going to be probably in the 40s. The fish are going to be a little slow, but there will be some large bags. You'll use a drop shot. Any type of thing like that will work good up there that time of year. I've been there practicing. On Wednesday, it would be 70 degrees. Come Saturday morning, it had rained the night before, and it was 17 degrees when we blasted off. Everything was frozen. All the rod lockers, live wells, all of that stuff. So took a little ride at 17 degrees, about 50 miles an hour. It's kind of nippy.
That's a neat little lake. And then Tim says, thank you. Tim Mick is in the chat. Tim, if you could email me, fishingthedmv@gmail.com, email me, fishingthedmv@gmail.com. My wife likes me to slow down when I talk. Email me all the information for the youth tournaments if possible, so I can relink that. At gmail.com. Yeah, did I say that not wrong? Guys, I'm sorry. I'm pulling a Joe Biden. I was up late watching the Redskins beat the living crap out of Detroit, which was very awesome to see.
Oh, Lord. You and my brother-in-law will get along good.
Oh, my goodness, dude. It's good for them. It's the special needs child that finally got a break. They finally are winning. They got a new owner. I just hated that it was up against Detroit, because I wanted to see Detroit also make a deeper run.
All right, which 2 going to the Super Bowl? What's your pick?
Right now, I think the Redskins are really going to be hard to beat. They got the juju. They do, man. You don't have to be the best team. You have to be the hot team, And then I hope that Swifties cry. I hope the KC does not make it. I'm sick of Taylor Swift. Okay, that should not be a part of football here. It's just, yeah.
Oh, come on. You know you love her.
So it sounds like I know the songs that you rock out to before you go on the water.
No, mine is country, brother. Mine is country.
We got a question on Instagram. Vic, what is your favorite Taylor Swift song?
I don't have one. I go way back, you know, Hank Williams and all that kind of stuff. I'm not into the modern day. Maybe a little bit of Dolly Parton and stuff like that.
Oh, my goodness, guys. So if people want to find you or the Federation or anything like that, what can they do?
Well, you'll be glad to have well, you can go on the Region 6 website. If we're having a new one come up, we're on Facebook also. You can reach me there. Region 6 Director through the Virginia Bass Federation. We are our own Tight Lines magazine. We got quite a few sponsors and everything that come aboard. We're very, very proud of that. We're hoping to expand on that even more. That really helps everybody in the end and all that. But if you want to come to a tournament or anything like that, I will have them posted out on Region 6 Facebook page. And with the website, they will be put on that also. And that's all coming within about a week. All of that should be out there.
About a week. There you go. And then Timic is back in the chat saying vabass.com, vabass.com. And then
Right.
also the youth information. It's in the booth now. James can show you a copy. Yeah, that way if I get a link, though, Tim, what I'm saying is if it's a digital link at some point, not now, on the re-upload, I can put the digital link in the episode description so people can click on it with this fancy computer technology. No, Vic, the man, the myth, the legend. He's on here every freaking year. We will probably do something with the trout pond at the end of the day because that's like a tradition.
Guess what? She's in the hook this time.
Oh, boy.
She's going to play the trout pond this time.
Guys, look forward to that at the very end. Sir, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Guys, we are going to be taking, we go back to just one screen here. That way Vic can run away if he'd like to. You're very good, dude. So, guys, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be taking a quick commercial break. And then what I would like to do before we get our next guest on here, again, this is going to be a very selfish promotion. The only reason that this whole thing happens is because of Patreon. People just donate $6 a month, which is less than a pack of Cincos or a jackhammer chatterbait. Keeps this freaking show alive. I don't rely on sponsors. I just don't. I want to be funded the best I can from the people. And so if you guys could find it in your heart to donate to the Patreon, it's only $6 a month. There are only 28 spots left to be a Patreon member for the Weekend Warrior package. And I give you guys an 8% discount if you sign up for the year. You get an 8% discount on it, which is like $66 a year. That's it, to keep this show running. Please go check that out. We do online fishing tournaments, membership-only content, and also a private Facebook group that has a ton of fishing guides. A ton of fishing guides are on the Facebook group, the private Facebook group, to answer all of your questions that you have. Put a question in that chat, and one of our fishing guides will help answer that as well. So again, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and then we'll be back with our next guest.
Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All Weekend Warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members-only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our Weekend Warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.
Whoop, whoop, boop. All right, there we go. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. How does that sound on the old mic? Alrighty, guys. Let me know at home if you can hear me or not. I don't really check because I don't know. StreamYards is being a bitch today. Plus the Wi-Fi sucks. So sometimes it just kicks everything off and be like, yeah, you don't want your Rodecaster Pro hooked up. So anyway, let me hit that little record button there. Let me get a little clappy clap for the pre-recorded session. Guys, we are back with a little hors d'oeuvre before we have a really cool guest on it too if he doesn't get cold feet. Guys, Bass and Beer Radio are in the house. They are making a fly south. Guys, what are you guys doing down here?
Doing a little fishing at Lake Anna.
Yeah, we do this trip every year. It's a week-long trip on the hot side of Lake Anna. Come down, knock the rust off after we've been sitting inside wishing we were fishing for a month or two.
Did they die in the Gambler? Like, did they just try to launch that thing at 100,000 miles an hour? Where's Tony and the rest of your gang?
Chad was down. He left yesterday. Tony couldn't make it. He was on standby for the inauguration.
Oh.
So
Yeah, Tony being a National Guard.
That's stupid, dude. Quit your job. Come on,
Yeah,
just go
for
fishing.
real.
Yeah.
we wanted Tony to come, but he's going to come down with us in February.
So how did the whole warm side of Lake Anna, like, is this something you guys have always done? You guys own a house down there? Like, what's the deal?
So about 12, 13 years ago, I met a guy who owns a house down there.
Cool.
And he just rents it to fishermen only. He doesn't rent it to anybody else. He has a strict clientele. All he does is rent to fishermen.
That is hardcore.
Yeah, and he lives 2 doors down. So, and he likes to drink with you. He likes to have people come down and party. So there's an agreement. We get the little fish camp. We got to party with him.
So how do you find this guy? Is it like you go to a weird public bathroom, slip him some Jack Daniels, tap 3 times?
You
like,
gotta know people.
You got to know people.
Like, you have to have like referrals and.
Yeah, it's not just hey, I want to go use that house. No, you have to have a voucher to use the house.
Holy
type
shit.
deal. It's
That
not
is
just
cool.
an open invite.
Yeah. Yes.
I met him through a bass club that I was in years ago. The guy who had run the bass club knew the guy since like the 80s, and that's how I had met him, and just kind of built a relationship off of that, and been very fortunate to have access to it all these years. Because there's not many places you can go in January and catch fish on topwater and it's snowing.
It's pretty cool.
You know?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is.
What are some compare and contrast before we get into the Bass and Beer radio show here? Compare and contrast the warm side and cold side of Lake Anna for people that don't understand what they're missing.
Tons of numbers, not as much size. Better size on the cold side, not as many numbers. Better numbers on the hot side, not as many big ones.
Yeah. There's big ones do live on the hot side. They are there, but they're just not in the large quantities that you're finding on the cold side. I have a theory why the hot side fishes the way it does. I think there's just so many small fish. They just don't grow as fast as they would somewhere else. I think there's not enough forage on that side of the lake.
And this is something I should have actually asked Odenkirk. Is it also because there's a stunt problem where like there's just so many little fish that like now you have that issue where the whole mass is kind of messed up?
That's kind of what we're thinking.
Because if they would stock that thing, if there was hydrilla, knock on wood, there used to be in the 80s, that place would be really, really, really taken off. But still, like you said, the warmth. You can go there, and they're pretty much like, what would you consider? Is this their winter technically? How do they act this time of year?
In the
Very
summer?
wintry.
Very wintry.
Yeah, I mean they get a little lethargic because that's the thing. With 3 different cooling ponds, you have 3 variations of how you can catch them in ways. I feel like the wintertime, the pattern kind of stays consistent from pond to pond to pond. That's how I felt about it. I don't know, Paul can elaborate. You can.
So to me, it's a lot like southern winter, where they're still, they're still in a winter pattern, but they're still active.
They're not lethargic.
They're mostly out just following bait.
What kind of bait are you guys seeing right now? Is it blueback, shad? Like, what are they chasing?
Threadfin mostly.
Mostly threadfin, yeah.
There's quite a bit of gizzard in there too.
That makes sense, though, because it's so warm. Like, they're not going to have the die-off that you would be seeing on the other side.
We did have one guy catch one this week, and it spit up a pretty good-sized baby crappie as soon as he put it in the boat. It spit up a baby crappie. Probably about that.
Yeah, people don't talk about like that. They will key in on those crappie too when they get bigger. I had on a guy yesterday talk about the res where he had a like an 8-pounder spit up like a dinner plate sized crappie in his live well, which is insane. Speaking of the cold side, did you see what Tyler Highpole did?
I did.
Yeah.
We were getting updates as it was happening.
Yeah. So,
because one of the guys on our trip was with SP Fishing
Gotcha.
on the lake that day. So they were talking to each other, and then our buddy was sending us updates as it was happening. It was pretty interesting.
We have a group chat that goes for the entire group that's down the trip, and I think by 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, he was like, Matt's buddy's got a 33-pound bag together, and it's still growing. And I think by like 3:30, it was up to 38?
38, yeah.
It was a 38, yeah. So it's impressive. It really is.
It's stupid. I mean, I was pressuring Matt, SB Fishing, hey, dude, you got to do live streams. He's like, fine. First one he does, he cracks 31 pounds on camera. I mean, dude's got a horseshoe, I swear. But then what Tyler did. And the fact is, talking to him while it was happening, and then he was here all day yesterday, it's like, I didn't start counting the weight until like 10, and so he threw back fish that he said were probably just as big. He might have had 40 or saw 40, which, holy shit, Anna is on the precipice of being one of the top lakes now. Like, you can't drop that and be like, no, it's like, it's B+, B-. Like, that's fucking, dude, that's massive.
Do we move that to the legendary status now?
I think it's getting there, dude.
I mean,
holy
one
crap.
thing with Anna that, I don't know how far back you on history, the wintertime in Anna has always produced these big bags. It's not nothing new.
Just not the 30s, but they're always solid, 23, 24 pounds.
The big bags that were always caught on Anna were always in the wintertime.
But not 40. I agree with you, but it's like we're now hitting another, the steroid era in baseball here with what we're seeing.
Those F1s, man.
Yeah, it's those F1s. And I showed Unkirk that. He's like, yeah, that's like the first generation of F1s. Like, there's still 3 or 4 year classes of F1s coming, which means it's going to get bigger.
So we're going to sustain this level for a while.
I think they're in their 4th year now, stocking.
Their 4th year, and it takes 5 years, generally speaking, to get them into the 5 to 6 pound range, which means, holy shit, it's going to
be insane.
Go off.
It really is.
I think this is now, in the next 5 to 6 years, we should see a BFL at Lake Anna. Period. End of story. Just one time, they deserve it if you're cracking out, let's say, a 40-pound bag next year. I mean, insane.
I mean, do they have somewhere to hold a tournament that big? That's where it comes to no question.
That's kicking the
What
nuts.
are the facilities
That's
like?
the biggest thing with BFL too.
And I know, and this is the frustrating part with me is, okay, you could use Sturgeon or High Point Marina. In theory, you could. 2 years ago, they had a Veterans Day tournament that had 140 boats, I think. But if the fishing is so good, do you make an exception? Or is it like, Bugs Island's got great freaking facilities. Awesome. You'll win with 6 pounds. Or this place, you might catch 40 pounds. Right. Which one looks better to your organization versus like, the boat ramp ain't perfect?
It's not as much about the boat ramp as the parking.
The facility, the parking, and all that other stuff.
You get 140, 150, 160 boats. That's a lot of trucks and trailers. That's a lot of space. That's a lot.
Would you rather have 6 parking spaces to yourself for your boat and you catch 6 pounds to win, or you got to get really good at parking, but you might catch a dirty 30 each time?
I get it.
And this is not just you, but it's like everyone listening, because I know I'm going to get comments on this in the re-upload about that. But dude, like, I'm okay if the parking is shit, but I'm going to get out there and I'm going to have a fun day on the water. I don't know.
I think the problem that you have with areas like that is it's not everybody. MLF is looking at it like not everybody's thinking about just going there and catching a dirty 30. It's their experience that they're going to have there. So if it's a cluster, for that tournament, there's you have the potential of those anglers not coming back, right? So they have to look at it that way and make sure that it's. But on the other hand, they have tournaments on Oneida all the time too, and that place sucks.
I don't think it's kind of like with the forward-facing sonar and the co-angler. Like, it's forward-facing sonar's fault completely. Co-angling is dying. They look for these red herrings we're just going to blame it on this. So I personally think parking is probably overblown just a little bit because it's a very easy excuse for them. Versus the higher ups don't want to change. But I don't know if Lake Anna keeps getting better. You can't ignore that. It's like the Smith thing. Like, that place is getting better and better and better too. So
I think the main thing is the people who fish the BFL. So that would be the Shenandoah division. So the people who fish the BFLs need to bring it to the tournament director.
Yes.
And if they don't hear it from the anglers, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
So unless the anglers want to go there.
So here's a great question that I've always wondered as far as BFLs. I know the Elite Series, and they get paid by the local community to come there. Does that go on with BFLs? I mean, do you ever think that could be a reason that they don't come to Lake Anna? Because maybe they're Spotsylvania County's not willing to cater to them?
Full disclosure, I don't know.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm curious, because I don't see why they couldn't have a big VFL tournament. It would turn out.
For the most part, no, they don't. Certain places like Clayton, or not Clayton, Clayton's on the other end of the St. Lawrence.
Waddington.
Well, no, the one that they Messina.
Yeah.
So MLF, the reason that they have all their tournaments there is MLF made a deal with Messina that they would have, the Toyota series of BFLs and any of their professional level tournaments out of Messina. So you do get it at some levels, but when it's just places that have like individual BFLs, there's not really any like wheeling and dealing that goes on there.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. And then guys, again, I'm gonna tee it up for them. Bass and Beer Radio here, guys. A quick little thing here, because I know we may or may not have our guest here at 2 p.m. I'm really hoping he doesn't get cold feet. How did Bass and Beer Radio become a thing?
So Chad and Tony like to talk about bass fishing, and then Chad had the bright idea of making a podcast. And not too long after he created the podcast, we started fishing the Thursday nighters on the Gunpowder. This was 3 years ago. So they got to know me, and then I just kind of like naturally became a part of it, and Kevin as well from the Thursday nighters. We all live in that area, so we all fish the Thursday nighters on the Gunpowder, and just became friends. And we all like to BS about bass fishing.
And Paul has an interesting story, because you try to live the dream that everyone else just dreams about, but you're doing it.
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah, not really.
You don't travel the country at all and fish at all?
I've been a few places.
A few places. He's very modest, but yeah, he likes to go try to crack it with the big boys, doing the opens and things like that, which. Dude, that's very commendable, because that's a hard road to hoe to do.
I don't fish the opens. I can't take credit for that. I fished a few national championships around. I do most of my fishing in the Maryland area. Occasionally, I go to New York for fun because I love smallmouth. But I've fished Texas a few times. Pretty much South Carolina, everything from. I've never fished Florida.
Where have you not? Let's do that.
I've never fished Florida, and I've never fished in Alabama. Amazingly enough.
How?
I don't know. I've never had a tournament that's taken me there. So most of my far travel, I'm only going there for tournaments. New York that's more of a fun thing. I just like going up there.
Yeah, we're doing a New York trip, I believe, in June this year.
And then I'm going to, in October, I'm going to La Crosse for the Bass Nation National Championship.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
So, yeah, we'll see.
So
maybe then I'll live the dream,
No, you're getting...
Top three, or for... I guess I got to win. I got to win for a shot at the Elite Series. But top three gets me into the Classic, so that's good enough.
Are you fishing the... I always mess this up, so you guys are going to kill me. The Maryland State, now it's a team thing.
The Bass Nation. Yeah, Maryland Bass Nation.
Are you opting out?
I am not. I have I just have a lot of stuff going on with running the Maryland TBF and as tournament director.
Which we should have talked about, but yes, he runs the Maryland TBF.
That's actually why I was late, because I was talking to the president of Virginia TBF. I just have I got a lot of stuff going on, and just trying to fit it into my schedule. And there's there's 2 tournaments in there that I have to travel quite a ways for, like 3 hours. So I'm opting out of that. I do like the format. That's the same format that we use in Maryland TBF, and it's worked well in the past. So I wish them all the best. I know most of the guys that fish it, and yeah, I'm not going to be there this year. Probably not next year.
And we'll definitely say that'll be a topic for another show, or a show that you guys have on Friday nights. If people want to find the podcast, where can they find it, and when's your next show?
Bass and Bear Radio on Facebook and YouTube would be either one of those.
It's on Apple Podcasts.
Some of our episodes may be uploaded to Spotify.
And Apple Podcast?
Maybe Apple. I can't remember if Chen did Apple or not. I know we did some of the Spotify.
100% though, Facebook for sure. So
Facebook and YouTube.
And YouTube. Yeah.
Our next show is going to be this Friday, 7 o'clock, and we have a special guest. We have Avid Boats that's going to be on the podcast talking about Avid aluminum bass boats.
Ooh, that's going to be a good one. And then, guys, they have this really cool thing that they did with a old boat restoration, which was a fantastic thing. They went up there to talk to the people that worked on the boat. It's a whole different thing. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we're going to be back with our next guest here momentarily. Again, guys, thank you so much for coming on. I know I just snagged you.
Thanks for having us.
Go check them out on Friday nights, Bass and Beer Radio. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. From the Richmond Fishing Expo. Let me hit a couple of doodads right here, and perfect. Okay, we have a really, really cool guest. I have been told by so many people to have this legend on the show, just to have a quick little chat. Sir, if you could tell everyone at home who you are and what your company is.
Thank you for the kind words. My pleasure to be here. Lynn Bell with Fishing Protect. We have a retail store in Toano, Virginia. Of course, we're here at the show, and I'm delighted to be part of this podcast. Thank you.
How did you get involved in the fishing industry?
My father took me fishing and hunting as a young guy, and I gravitated more towards the fishing. I was out on the road playing drums, and I figured I'm going to let the highway cool off for a little while. Came back home, got back into fishing just weekend warrior style. Started fishing in fairly high-level tournaments, and then kind of segued right into the industry. And next thing you know, 30 years have elapsed. It's been quite a ride. I've met some great people, had a lot of fun. It's been a roller coaster ride from time to time, but I'm a junkie for the challenge. It's been a lot of fun.
And I think one of your employees is this kid named Hunter. I don't know.
The notorious Hunter Smith.
Yeah, the notorious Hunter Smith. He said that I need to have you on, and Dave too, that you know a thing or two about megabass.
One or two things. Yeah, Hunter Smith. Love him like a son. He's great, my store manager. good person, and I'm very proud of the skills he's been developing recently in his fishing. Got to give him a little shout out. Megabass first came onto my radar. It might have been the second or third issue when they brought out the BASS Times. Almost looked like a little tabloid, newspapery looking thing to fill in the gaps between the bona fide issues of Bassmaster. The article was maybe this big, new, high-end bass fishing tackle phenom from Japan. And it was an article, small one, about megabass. And the U.S. rep at the time was up in Shelburne Falls, Massachusetts, and had a little tiny ad in the back of that issue, maybe the size of a matchbook cover. And I reached out to Masaki Murayama, and the accountability then that you were a legit dealer was send me one of your business cards in the mail. I was doing the Bassmasters Classic in Greensboro, North Carolina. The very first year Brian Kersel qualified for the Classic, Masaki was there as a press observer. Walked into my modest little 10-foot booth and had a little satchel and dumped these baits out on the table, and I could not believe the detail. And I just got connected with him and got a dealership going. Prior to even having my very first store, I was just doing shows like where we're at today, and that was kind of my humble beginnings. And one of the highlights was Yuki Ito actually came and visited me at my store,
Really?
along with Masaki. Yep, they flew in. They were visiting a few handful of some of the earlier dealers. And to this day, what is also very nice and flattering is a full recognition of like, hey, you small handful of our initial U.S. dealers, we're deeply grateful in a very sincere way. You helped us gain our initial traction in the U.S. And at this point, he's like a rock star in Japan. I mean, very popular, brilliant. That visit was one of the highlights of the 30 years of doing this. He didn't speak too much English at the time. I gave him a little tour of my store, and he looked at me and he said, I am happy. And I said, I'm glad to hear that. And another neat thing about that visit was, you know, he's handing me something. So I reach out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it was when he develops a new bait, he goes nowhere near a computer. He actually hand carves this stuff out of wood. I held in my hand the wooden hand carved bait. It had in English fonts, Test Model G written on the underbelly. Is what eventually developed into the giant Dog X. I actually held that in my hand, and the next thing you know, the first generation of that bait came out, and just happens to be one of my favorites. But it's been quite a ride with those guys. I'm deeply proud to be one of their dealers, and it's still a very sincere enthusiasm about, after 30 years, knowing the history of the company and just the empire that he's built. And you don't do that by being the Lone Ranger. He's like surrounded himself with incredibly talented people.
And what year was that really that relationship started, just vaguely?
I opened my first store in 95, and I'm going to say prior to that, 92, 93-ish, I started doing the Bassarama show. Is what morphed into this show as we sit here. And I was the new kid. I had a little 10-foot booth back in the corner. And by then I'd come off the road from playing drums, and I was fishing some tournaments. There were about 4 or 5 items I was using in my trick bag and just kind of playing that close to the vest. And I thought, I'm going into a show with a bunch of hardcore show junkies. These guys got established stores. I'm going to be the new kid. And Ronnie Bach, the promoter of that show, treated me like a son from the very start. And I just let some of my little tournament things I was doing kind of out of the bag and picked up the megabass stuff, and it just started a roller coaster from there.
When did you have a moment when you picked up megabass that it's like, oh, this is different, this is a thing that's going to take off?
The moment Masaki dumped out that little satchel, and I saw the Great Hunting series, the GH Great Hunting series of the little tiny jerk baits. It's the incredible detail, and that was still early generation stuff where they were flat sticker eyes, and still though absolutely amazing. And then the Deepex 100 first gen, Yuki Ito actually invented that weight shift balance system in the baits, and won Invention of the Year award in Japan with that. And of course now it's kind of an industry standard where you've got a round weight that sits in the tail end of the bait, aiding in the trajectory of your cast. In a crankbait, for example, it'll land. As it dives, the bead rolls forward, the bait levels out for the dwell time part of the retrieve, and that bead will lock into position right at the gill plate. As you begin your retrieve back, gravity comes into play, the bead gives out and rolls back into the tail end, ready for the next outgoing cast. He invented that.
That's insanely detailed.
I stopped counting it. I don't remember how many international patents, many good Japan Good Design Awards. They don't have a president, they have emperor in Japan, and a lot of the emperors in the past, our beloved largemouth bass was considered like a trash fish, like a carp or a sucker. So they weren't recognizing his meteoric achievements. And then finally an emperor got into position or power and said, hey, we've got some brilliant people in our culture over here, just doing everything they do, they approach it like an art form, and this was certainly no exception. I stopped counting it like 60-some Japan Good Design Awards, and I take Lure magazine out of Japan, and he's always got a full-page ad regarding what he's working on, or he's getting ready to drop and release, or he's getting another Japan Good Design Award from the Emperor.
Why is it? It seems like, at least from my point of view, all of the major discoveries and breakthroughs are Japanese right now. Is it just their detail? It's just like they don't just put out a product, oh, this is good enough. Everything they do is a banger.
Everything they do is approached like an art form. I read a little article where a gentleman was over there on a business trip early one morning. He's walking down the sidewalk enjoying a coffee. The people are cleaning the sidewalks and sweeping the streets, and one guy had chopsticks and was cleaning the cracks in the sidewalks. So very neat, very meticulous. World's highest usage of cell phones, world's highest consumption of fish. Everything they do is approached like an art form. If you're a bricklayer, you pick up the trash. You're a brilliant brain surgeon, or you're someone like Yuki Ito, brilliant bait designer, to build that kind of empire. It's fascinating.
What kind of changes have you seen in jerkbaits over your tenure?
Change in jerkbait?
Yeah.
Would be actually the Vision 110, which a lot of people are assuming that Yuki Ito developed. That was actually Randy Blockett when he was much younger.
Really?
Yep. Joplin, Missouri. He was fishing tournaments as a young guy, and I've fished this way before too. You take a Rebel spoonbill minnow and sling out a long cast, and you swing like a turnstile and reel up the slack, and you're exhausted by the end of the day. And Randy thought there's got to be a better way to do it. He developed the 110, and Yuki was coming in from Hamamatsu, Japan, and helping him kind of tweak and fine-tune, but he developed that bait, and that was the proverbial. At that point, I retired all my rogues, all my stuff. That was the that now is pretty much the state of the art, and continues to be.
And that's interesting, because like with the old school rogues and things like that, you had the wood balsa, things like that. That was really big, and it seems like, at least again, like not being as educated as you on this, megabass blew out the old school wood out of the water and going to the plastic and what they're doing right now. Is balsa kind of, is it no longer as important for the jerkbait industry? Because like you said, like the Rogue is not necessarily the standard anymore. It is the Vision 110 that is the gold standard.
It is, yeah, well put, the gold standard. The balsa, especially your top 7% select balsa, still extremely viable in the crankbait genre of baits. The other baits, your Smithwick Rogues, your Rapala baits, the Bomber Long A. I used to take solder and wrap that around the base of the treble hooks to get that bait to suspend. My first time out on Lake Powell in Williamsburg, I'm in a little area called Green Cove, and I'm snapping this thing around, and I'm thinking, I'm not a pike fisherman. What am I doing? I end up catching the largest bass caught that year in that lake and won the Big Bass Award, and just developed from there. All those other baits are still very viable, but the 110, what really set the mark. And you've got, of course, guys that use, guys that collect, guys that use and collect. They do special run colors, and that's a good one. You need to have that one.
We got a question here on Instagram, which is, do you have any old megabass baits that are no longer made?
Yes, I do.
That you have good memories of?
Many. The Gen 1 Deep X 100, where he invented the weight shift balance system, I got some of those. Where he was actually putting the provenance on the back of the bait. I've got some that go back to 1995.
Wow.
And I still use them. I collect some of them, and I still use them. And the Generation 1 Griffin Shallow Runner, the SR model, is in its third generation now, but the very first generation, I do well with that bait. It's got that erratic, searching for center hunting action, very tiny, but everybody's squeamish about the tiny hooks, but they suck it in like it's a Tic Tac. You've still got 2 treble hooks.
Yeah.
You got 6 hooks in them. Excuse me.
That's crazy. You've been observing so much in the Japanese culture and what's coming over now. BFS is catching on more and more and more. What is the history of that?
Lake Biwa in Japan is a very challenging body of water, clear water, a lot of fishing pressure. And a lot of those folks, too, working in IT over there will have a little travel rod in their briefcase, and they'll take their modest sandwich they have for lunch and go down to the park and fish in the little ponds. You'll see a lot of those guys casting over guardrails and streets and fishing little culverts and ponds. And yeah, the bite gets challenging. You scale down to the smaller sizes. And it is a trend that's come over from Japan. And some of their smaller baits are now classified as a bait finesse system bait. You've got smaller versions of the jerk baits. The Pop X has a little tiny one. Dog X has the Kawaii model. Yeah, little tiny stuff.
Have you been ever invited to go over to Japan and actually like go tour some of their facilities or anything like that?
That's my proverbial bucket list, is to go to Hamamatsu, Japan, the home of not only megabass, but what Yuki calls Ito Engineering, and I'm quoting him, but my more flexible, independent arm of the megabass operation. Honda's over there, Yamaha's over there. Apparently Hamamatsu's a big industrial hub or whatever. I did ask one time if I could come over and like tour the factory. They do not do factory tours. I think there's so many knockoffs and stuff. They want to kind of, not let people tour the facilities, what I feel, but I do want to go over there sometime and check out the tackle stores.
Yeah, sir, I know you're incredibly busy, and I just wanted this to be our first conversation or sit down. We did have another question that came through.
Certainly.
What is your favorite jerkbait right now? A +1, a +2, and then you said something else there. So I'm assuming, what depth jerkbait do you think is the best one for people to get into?
You eventually want to have probably the whole array.
There you go. Go to a store and buy them all.
Yeah, and that's not me trying to sell more baits. I kind of lean on the original one, just the straight up 110. But the juniors and the +1 and the +2, you want to run a little deeper in the water column. Just when your money's stacking right, just build up the appropriate arsenal, and you won't regret it at all. They're very, very effective baits.
Is the next question that just came through, which is, what is the best color for someone to get into an all-around color?
In the 110s, I would say basically stay in the shad patterns.
Shad patterns.
Dark back, breaks off into a scale pattern, lighter underbelly. And then you can start to embellish with perch patterns, stuff of that nature.
Awesome stuff. So, guys, again, this guy's absolute wealth of knowledge. Go check out his store. And just for people who don't know, where is your store located? Do you guys have a website? All that stuff.
We have a website that's actually very modest. It's just you kind of have to have one out there. We normally encourage a store visit. We do mail order, $50 and over is free shipping. And we are located in Toano, Virginia, which is just west of the colonial restored area in Williamsburg and the College of William and Mary. Lightfoot, Norwich, Toano, just westbound of Williamsburg, exit number 227 off 64. And we're directly across the street from the Toano Middle School with big prominent signage. We're open every day. So if anybody like to stop in and take a little tour, check out some megabass, we welcome them.
Sir, again, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Go check out Pro Tech Fishing. They got a booth here. Go check them out down in Virginia. Guys, we're going to take a quick 8-minute break here, and then we'll be back with our next guest.
Do you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. Because I am never disappointed out here, because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Tell us about our next guest, and we'll go for it. All right, guys, that was absolutely awesome to have that. We got this here. Just got back from the show, my wife's first time, and it was amazing. Thanks, Chris Grubb and Farley Outdoors, Tight Lines. Absolutely, it was great. William Barnes. I know the audio wasn't absolutely perfect, but it'll be re-uploaded here, and the audio will be much better. We got Becky. Becky, where have you been? We miss you. We want to see you down here. I have fished Alabama, Minnesota, New York, Delaware, Maryland, all over Virginia, Kentucky, North Carolina, Louisiana, New Mexico, Montana, Wyoming, and Wisconsin. You have been well traveled, my friend. I hope all is well. We are going to have a couple more guests on at 3:30. We're going to have some catfish on. We're going to be talking about some catfishing. My wife has a really interesting story that we're going to be talking about as well. Really great guy. I'm super happy he was able to come on the show. Another round of applause for him coming on like that. Yeah, that was really cool. He was a little nervous to get on camera like that, but I think it turned out extremely well. You guys asked really good questions, were really warm and inviting, and I really appreciate all that you guys were nice and gentle with him this first time. So what do you guys want to do next? Do you guys want to see some baits? Do you guys want to see some really cool products? I am going to go grab Jared, and we're going to be talking about our very next our next guest before our part three of the day that's going to be coming up here for the Fishing the DMV podcast, bringing live coverage from the final day of the Richmond Fishing Expo. So what we're going to do is Carly's going to go grab Jared. Jared's going to go grab some baits and just kind of promote the Jake's Bait and Tackle booth really quick here before we get on. And let's see, we got Kylie there. Kylie says, on my way to Chesapeake Bay to the expo. Absolutely awesome stuff. Please hit this thing, put a big old like. Whether you're watching on Facebook, watching on YouTube, please just like it. Just by hitting that little like button, it helps push it up in the algorithm a little bit more. What? Oh, he's just being a chatty Cathy? Oh my goodness. He's selling baits? So Jared is selling some. Oh, wow. Okay. So Jared is selling some baits right now. So we're going to be probably going with another commercial break. What time is it now? It's 2:30. Okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do another break here while we get our next guest up. We have, again, catfishing at 3:30. We're going to get on about 2 more guests before we shut it down for the day here from the Richmond Expo. That was a really cool tease that we're able to get him on. We might even get Jenny on, honestly, from Jake's Bait and Tackle, so they can do their last thing. But anyway, what I want you guys to do is get John on. I will try my best. I don't have that kind of pull, Randy. I really don't have that kind of pull with people here, but I will do my best to get John on the show. So we're going to take a quick little commercial break, and we will be right back live from the Richmond Fishing Expo.
Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All weekend warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our Weekend Warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.
Alrighty, and 3, 2, and 1. All right, we are back, guys. Sorry about that. I threw some granola down my throat, and I actually got to stand up. We're gonna have Jared back on. He is starving. He just had lunch 10 minutes ago, and he has to eat a snack. Jared will be back on, but right now we have another local favorite. If you guys don't know it, you should. Bent Rod Baits, sir. I really appreciate you coming on. Please tell everyone at home your name and how this company got started.
So my name is Daniel Charles. Company got started, honestly, it's a dirty word anymore, but COVID. I lost my job when the lockdowns happened. I was an executive recruiter, and we lost all of our clients in about a 2-week span. And my office shut down, and I didn't have anything else to do at the time. So Bent Rod Fishing started as a drop shipping company. We were ordering lures from China and just having them sent to Amazon. We weren't even touching them. Wow. But Amazon they charge you for that. Let's put it that way. We were not making any money, so we started looking for a different way to do it, started airbrushing hard lures, and then I made the rig, and that changed everything. When I made the rig, it blew up, and honestly, I haven't touched my airbrushing in probably 8 months now. We're fully soft plastic now, and mainly those shoot around like pre-rigged is kind of like my niche, if you will.
What's the story? Was this ayahuasca trip at 2 in the morning and then this came to you? Like, how did this all begin?
So I actually watched a Milliken video where he was doing his hover rigs with the juggle minnow. And that's what got me fishing hover rigs. But he was, in his video, he even mentions, like, you're going to go through a lot of lead. Like, the insert weights are going to come out. Every time a bass hits it, you're going to lose your insert weight. Like, you just have to understand you're going to go through a lot of lead. And I did. And I didn't like that. So I just started trying to figure out ways that I could not lose as much lead. And when I first started, I used shrink tubing. And I would take the nail weight and shrink tube it to the hook and then put it in an open pour fluke mold and then just pour the plastic over it and then just peel it off like the hook eye and stuff like that when I was done. But obviously that was just for like prototype. I couldn't mass produce that, right? So once I tested the theory and was catching a lot of fish, I was catching like 10 or 12 bass before the lure would wear out versus like 1 or 2 when you build them by yourself. I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. So I called a custom mold company, asked them about, told them about my idea, asked them if they could do it. The guy kind of chuckled. He was like, yeah, you're not creating anything here. It's called a shoot around mold. Yes, we can definitely do that. So anyway, I got my jigs to him and he made the mold for me. And it just took off from there. They're very durable. You won't lose your lead, obviously, because it's more like a core tackle type. Like the lead's poured around the hook shank, so that there's no insert weight anymore. And it's all self-contained. The really cool thing about it is, though, like on the Shenandoah, we'll be fishing them, and like a walleye or something will come up and bite the tail off. If you just peel the plastic off, it is basically like a core tackle hook. I mean, you've got the jig in there, so you can take that and just use it with another fluke. A lot of times I use them on crawls, especially on the Shenandoah. I'll do like a hover crawl and just bounce it off the bottom and they destroy it. So that's pretty cool. Now that bait there, that's my newest bait, the Mogambo. It is about a 3.5 inch. It's a curly tail, so it depends on where the tail's curled for the length of it. But yeah, curly tail swim bait. It's also a shoot around. Jigs inside, and that jig inside is basically like the tush. It's like a swim bait, like poured lead around the hook shank as well. And again, when the bait wears out, tear it off, and you can reuse the jig.
When did this become a thing of I'm not going to do hard baits anymore and go full? Was there a moment in your head like, oh, you're like, this is gaining some traction? Oh my goodness.
Yes, there was. And it wasn't like a moment, it was more like a week. Because I was getting orders from Jake's and, of the tackle shops that I'm in, and, they were I painted like these little baby 1-, like the Mans. Those were blowing up on the Shenandoah specifically. Yeah. They're really effective on the Shenandoah. So I was painting a lot of those, but every time I did, as a businessman, I'm looking at it going, okay, I can paint this many baits in an hour. My profit is X. And then I would look over at the rig and go, my goodness, I could make 300 rigs in that time, and my profit is literally times 10. Mm-hmm. And it was just time, right? If I had employees, I would have people painting baits, right? Because I love it. I actually don't really enjoy shooting soft plastics. You might as well have a tire fire going on in your shop. It's not pleasant. But I actually really do enjoy it now. I've learned to enjoy it. I've learned to really enjoy like tweaking colors and coming up with different colors and stuff like that. So it's work, you know what I mean? But it's fun, and I can actually make money at it. So
We have a question that did come up on Instagram, which is, what sizes do the weights come in the heads?
that's a great question. So the rig, as it stands right now, the jig on the inside is an 1/8 ounce.
Okay.
I do make a 1/4 ounce jig as well, and I have shot some rigs with it. I didn't sell them because the 1/4 ounce jig, it increased the diameter of the jig so much that it made the at the top where the tie-on eye, there just wasn't much plastic above it, and I was afraid that it was just going to pop out and it wasn't going to be good, and I didn't want my customers to have a bad experience with the bent rod bait. So I never really, I sell the jigs just separate, but I don't make rigs with them. But then I found a product, actually, if you look at that Mogambo again, pull it out of the bag, try to move that jig inside the Mogambo.
All right, guys, so here we go. Well, that's in there firm.
It is in there. So the guy that made that mold for me did me a huge solid, and I don't even think he knows he did, because he told me about a product called Bond Coat. Lure Works makes it, and you can literally just paint it onto your jig. And if it's I don't think it would work if you were just like threading it onto a bait, but when you shoot the hot plastisol around the jig, the heat makes that chemical on the lead react, and it fuses the plastic to the lead.
Wow.
So the durability on those are through the roof. Since finding that product, now I'm going to start making the 1/4 ounce rigs, because now I know it won't pop out. It's going to be locked in there. So I think I'm going to call them diver rigs, just because honestly, because my website, the rig listing is already full. I can't put any more on it, so I'm going to have to make a separate listing. So I'm just going to make it a separate, like, I guess, name for the bait. So they'll be called diver rigs. They will be 1/4 ounce. And honestly, I've even had a couple like Bassmaster guys fish with them up on Lake Champlain and St. Lawrence. Ricky Folk contacted me last year and was like, "Hey, I got a couple buddies fishing the elites," and I showed them the rig, and they have to have it. I think they ordered like 20 bags from me or something like that. It was a pretty big order.
Well, let's get into the boring stuff, but I find fascinating the logistics of it. So 20 bags of this, is that one mold per bait? Is that taking you 30 years to do 20 orders like from an Elite Series Pro?
No. So the mold is an 8 cavity mold.
Oh, okay, good.
But it's like a individual shoot. Like it's not like you put it in and just push once and you just made 8 baits. Like you got to go down the row, which it's no big deal. It's just a little time consuming. But I had to do that so that I could laminate. I could do the dual colors. If I did it because of how the bait, because I had load the jigs in, the bait has to be situated in the mold a certain way in order for you to be able to have the jig in it. And in order for me to be able to laminate it, it had to be single shoot.
Another question here is, what size are the fluke baits that are molded into it?
They are 5 inches.
These are 5 inches. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts about doing other sizes, or do you already have other sizes? Okay.
I do have. I plan on paring it down to maybe about a 3-inch. That's a 3/0 hook in there. I plan on reaching out to my guy who did the mold and telling him I just want to pare it down to like a 1/0 like type hook size, and that should take the bait down to maybe 3.5 inches.
Okay, wow.
I definitely do plan on doing that. That would be 1/8 ounce. I don't think I would do that in a 1/4 ounce. But that would be killer on a river. I mean, it's already killer on a river. Mm-hmm. And I fished that very different on a river. Like if you're fishing the rig on like a lake, you want to let it drop. On the way down, I call it a death spiral. The bait literally, like a dying bait fish, it twirls on the way down. I've got some of my pro staff guys have scope, and they said that they can actually see the bait doing this in the water, and they said as soon as it starts, all the bass that are around start attacking it, and they fight over it. I would say the only downside about the rig, honestly, and this is not even really a joke, especially like smallmouth, they inhale it. So I had to go buy like one of those like hook removers with the long thing, because I mean it's like way down there, and wow. I love the dough. I don't want to kill smallies, so I was like, I don't know if I cut the line, is the bait going to kill it? I mean, it probably would, right? So I try to get it out, and they start bleeding, and I'm sitting there feeling like a horrible person. I'm like, especially if it's a big one, I'm like, I hope nobody sees me accidentally killing this fish. So yeah, definitely if you're going to fish with a rig, have a very long hook remover, because they will literally inhale it.
guys. There you have it. Bent rod. Come get them. This is really changing the game when it comes to doing minnow fishing. If people can't make it to the Richmond Expo, where can they buy your product online in stores? What do you have available?
Yes, so well, that list has grown exponentially since this event. I actually have about 5 or 6 new tackle shops that want to put me on their shelves that I've met here. But currently, my website is bentrodfishingusa.com. Now, the Mogambo you won't see on there yet. I have the listing hidden because I wanted to have as much to sell here as possible. So Monday, you will see the Mogambo on the website. The rig is on there. I will tell you, the rig really blew up here this weekend. We have, I think, 2 bags left.
Wow.
And we brought over 100. They just really, everybody's been grabbing, and I've been pushing them towards the Mogambo because that's my new bait, and everybody's like, cool, and they go buy the rig.
Good problem to have.
It is, yeah, right? bentrodfishingusa.com. They can get them from my website. Jake's Bait and Tackle in Winchester carries me. Miller Hardware carries me, and Hoffman's Tackle in Berkeley Springs carries me as well.
There you have it, guys. Go check him out right now while it's still available as this guy blows up and becomes national here soon. We're going to have Jared on. He's got some baits I think he just dropped there as well that we're going to be talking about. But Bent Rod is right next to Jake's Bait and Tackle if you want to come on down here and grab whatever's left. Otherwise, go check out those places that he talked about. We take a quick break, guys, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, guys, we're gonna keep the goodwill train going here with flap right there, just so I can have my own timestamp in there. We got Jared. He is the backbone. He is the Hall of Famer of Jake's Bait and Tackle. Dude, it looks like y'all have been very successful here this weekend.
Yeah, Thomas. This is the first year we've sold product. Been coming down here for, gosh, 15, 20 years probably as a spectator. Last, 3 or 4 years with you, I think?
Yeah.
Year 3, maybe. Last year we set up a lot of our custom guys who you just spoke to, Daniel, with Bent Rod, sold. We had Cade Time flies, and then we had CT custom spinnerbaits. And then this year we decided to kind of bring down some of our other custom bait makers, highlight them, along with other stuff. Obviously, 4,000 square foot bait and tackle shop, you can't bring everything. But yeah, that's one thing we try to do, is have things that you can't find at the Bass Pro Shop or even the Green Top, big box chain, Walmarts, things like that. Kind of the local guy.
What as we get into the local stuff, this is always our fun thing that Jared and I do when we do these shows together. Is you're like me, kid in the candy store. The one thing I love about looking around this store is you'll just see Jared just like scoot into a booth, and it's like he's going for his wallet. Just off the top of your head, is there anything that you were like, ooh, I might need to buy that?
Well, I did buy a few things. I should have got in my bag there. Biz Baits has the buzz bait that I like, the clacker on the buzz bait. Well, they call it the dinner bell. And so instead of having the solid metal, they actually have a little ball that comes around on the buzz bait as the buzz bait comes around, and it makes a little different sound. So, grab my bag for me.
Hey, can I say something special though?
Yeah.
This old man turns 50 tomorrow.
He does.
Big fitty.
We're gonna be singing happy birthday to him here.
Purchases?
Your purchases?
Yeah,
Jared's
real
been
quick.
shopping more than
That's what he was talking about. So, but no, it is. That's what you had the Susquehanna guy on the other day too, and like his spinner baits, he had a little green pumpkin purple on there, and I'm like, man, that looks good. So I go over and I buy it. Some of these are in my truck. Funny thing too is we used to do this when we come down with the guys. It was like kind of like you got back to the hotel room, you had to literally empty
It's
your
like
bag.
Halloween, like
Let's
where you
see
dump
what
the
you
candy
got.
out.
Yeah, no secrets. You know what I mean? And so, but anyway, there was 2 things I bought from Biz Baits. I was talking about that clacker, the dinner bell clacker. Ooh. And so it gives a little different pitch when it comes through the water. And I also like a single Colorado bladed spinnerbait, especially in the summertime. Let it get down to the bottom, slow roll it, put a trailer on the back of that. I like the looks of that. Let's see what else we got in here. Oh, these were kind of interesting. So my daughter, son-in-law, they want to go chase the snakeheads. And I didn't get them out last summer, but we're going to do it this summer. So I came across these too, and they look pretty hot. I think the snakes are going to like those as well.
That's really cool. And they're called fur rabbits.
Yeah. So,
dude, that's cool. He's definitely been able to go shop and explore, which I absolutely, I'm going to be doing that here too, guys, in a couple of hours here. You know, one thing that I'm going to be picking up is these custom baits by Kenny G. These are some fantastic little minnow baits. These are custom designers at your shop, correct?
Correct. A couple of the old guys, OGs, Jenny calls them, come in on Friday.
Look at the subtle nature of this little bait right here. Look at how that thing goes wiggle wiggle. This is a this is about a 2.75 inch minnow bait, guys. Again, you know, talking to Bent Rod and other people that make minnow baits, this size is becoming more and more popular as people are finding out that bass are keen on tinier forage at certain times of the year. Lake Anna, they're not always eating those 7-inch plastic, and going with these tinier baits like this is absolutely killer. Really good firm plastic, will stay on the hook extremely good. This was something that I really enjoyed.
The other thing too, Kenny G's, I got a tube here, but when I was looking the name of it, Lonnie's Magic, and I was in the shop and Lonnie Connor had come over, who used to make custom baits, sold his bait company, but Connor's Custom Baits is what he called it. But as they were collaborating on it, talking about colors, Lonnie was giving him some tips, and so he came up. He's got a lot of tubes too, but what's cool is, you know, again, when you think custom, you know, a lot of these, you got the black and blue, you got the chartreuse, you got, you know, all the common colors, green pumpkin, but sometimes the little subtle differences were based on your water too. So the bait fish, the crayfish that are common in your water, and that's what Roger does too. Roger's jigs, he's constantly pulling crayfish out of the water different times of the year to try to match the hatch, which kind of makes it's local, it's regional, works in your area.
And then kind of segueing then I guess to the jig stuff. What kind of jig stuff do you have here that will also be offered at the shop?
So of course Jeff with Shallow Water Fishing Adventures too.
I got that too, baby.
He's got that, and now here's a guy that's a guide that's guiding on the river. I don't know how many days a year, but here again, you know, and he's making some stuff he's more on the upper Potomac, and but
look at that little morsel, guys.
You got to figure if he's making a living at fishing, and he's going to say, these are the colors you want to throw in these bodies of water, I would definitely recommend that.
This green purple, man, is absolutely a banger. I absolutely adore this color.
And then Barry's another old timer that, and the cool thing about us guys, like we love all these guys. We support them all. We're a bait shop. We're not exclusive to any one. But one thing Barry's been coming out with is, and I'm going to throw this at Thomas and let him, the translucent, when you turn that thing, it's one color if you're looking at it, but you turn it, it's going to change colors, and I think that's important because fish are the same way. When you pull fish out of the water and you turn them and look, depending on the lighting, they're going to flash a lot of different color schemes at you.
Look at that, guys. That's really cool. That is really cool there. Oh. And that's, like, again, the perfect size if you're going for smallmouth in the Shenandoah River, Upper Potomac, even the Susquehanna, that mini bite-sized thing, dude. That is awesome.
And then this is a jointed presentation here, jointed fluke, if you will, jointed minnow, and he's got them in different colors. But that one's a little different. And there's guys out there that you get the molds, and there's a lot of guys doing it.
I love that joint though, guys. If you can see like how that joint is created right there, it's going to give it a lot of side-to-side action. If you're going to be, again, this is also good if you just want to be pulling this in the summertime across the surface of the river, or even if you're doing a blueback bite deal, because it's going to have that nice tight wiggle action. That's really cool.
And those are Barry's custom baits. He just started packaging those and selling them. And again, he's collaborating with the guys. All of his baits have been named after a lot of the old guys at the shop. You know, Dad, for example, if you've ever come into Jake's Bait and Tackle, his bait name is Sleeper. Sometimes you're coming in, old Jerry will be sleeping. So, yeah, and then again, I'll just talk about Roger. You know, John Cruz got up on the tank this weekend, and he was promoting certain baits, and he was talking about a micro jig. And unfortunately, we didn't bring those to Richmond with us, but, you know, small jig profile is also can be deadly, either with a paddle tail or a crawl trailer. And again, Rogers has been telling people, you go online, you can get that brand online. You can also look at Rogers Custom Jigs. He's come out with a smalley jig, hand-tied, different colors. And so again, a lot of just different custom stuff that you can catch on your local waters, whether it be the river, farm pond, lake. They'll work everywhere. And you can catch big fish too. You can catch big fish with small profile.
That's really, really cool. Roger's jigs, guys. I'm going to get Roger on the show at some point. It's on the to-do list. Really, really cool hair jigs that he actually comes out with as well. If you are a smallmouth guy, wintertime hair jigs, peanut butter and jelly, baby. It is old school, but damn it if it's not effective at catching it.
You know, a real quick story too on Roger. When he came up with that smalley jig, I was down at Andy Guest State Park waiting with Cole, and I had the GoPro, and I happened, it was in summertime, but I held it down under the water, and I was lifting rocks up, of course not knowing what I was going to get. Went back to the shop, brought it up on the computer, and I was watching, hey Roger, take a look at this. And then one of the shots, a Mad Tom shot out from under the rock and scurried off. And that got him thinking. You heard me say earlier, crawl trailers on a jig is very common. But a small profile with a little paddle tail, we started doing that. Our boys, Daniel Litwin and Matthew, they were catching 5-pound smallmouth down at the Shenandoah River near Bentonville using that little small profile with a little paddle tail. Like, think of a swim jig, big swim jig, but downsize it. And that's kind of how that came to be as well. So if you've never thrown them, I think especially this time of year, wintertime, great time to downsize. Drag a small profile jig.
Yep, that's all you need to do to have success out on the water. And guys, again, it's January 19th right now. I don't know what the weather is like outside, but we only got about 2 more months, I'm thinking, before it's really going to be like, oh yeah, fishing's in the air, especially in our area. So yeah, we're getting there, guys. If it wasn't for these shows right now, I know I would personally go stir crazy. It just kind of gets you in the mood that, yeah, we are getting to the other side of this really, really cold winter that we've had. And if you guys haven't, please go stop by Jake's Bait and Tackle. They're located in Winchester, Virginia. This is the part I forget. Exit something. What exit are you guys off of?
I'm guessing 313.
313.
Rutherford Crossing, Texas Roadhouse. Go Route 11 north.
Look for a tropical smoothie.
Make a right.
Like that.
Yeah.
Make a right.
It's opposite of Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and Lowe's. Make a right.
Google
Jake's Bait and Tackle.
Google Jake's Bait and Tackle. There are directions there. Go check them out. It's a really cool shop. It has a Cheers vibe. It's like Cheers without the bar. You can go there, sit, tell fish tales, and you can really, really experience some really, really good tackle. Another thing that I like to promote is we're going to do a kayak show.
Yes.
We probably should pimp that out. And yes. I forgot the date.
It's March 1st.
Thank you.
It's going to be 11 to
something.
2 or 3. 11 to 3, I think it is. Got the barbecue vendor coming back, Franklin's Barbecue. He was nice. A hit. It's just a great way we treat it like a car show. Those that haven't seen it, and you can go on Thomas's podcast. He has videoed this before, and you can go back and see the footage from that. When I say car show, guys bring their rigs, they bring the kayak in, they set them up. We give out prizes for different categories. But the greatest thing about it, when you come, you can walk around and you can see all the different ways to rig these kayaks, and it gives you ideas for your own. So that'll be a cool event, March 1st. That's a Saturday, 11 to 3.
March 1st, Saturday, 11 to 3. It's a cool pimped out kayak. You bring your kayak around, pimp it out, show it off. We have different categories. You can win prizes. We'll have a crew of voters going around to vote on the kayaks. There'll be food. You can hang out and chill and just kind of get ready for the season to be starting. It's a cool little thing. We're in kayak territory, honestly, in the Shenandoah Valley. So that's something that's a lot of fun to kind of get into as well.
If you're interested in entering a kayak, kayak, email me at jared, jared.mounts, mounts, at jakesbaitandtackle.com, all spelled out. Phone number is 540-323-3100. You can text me. We'll get you in. I don't want to say we have limited space, but we'll try to, get 15 to 20 kayaks in there. So if you're interested in that, setting yours up, then, let us know. So, and if you can't make it, jump on Fishing the DMV. And Thomas, what I love about Thomas's thing too is he's capturing it digitally, so you can go back and watch it.
I'm gonna do the best I can to be able to capture all that footage as possible for that event. Again, though, if you can, it's nice to have this to be able to see it if you can't make it. But honestly, to be able to make it and walk around, it's like if you're gonna go to a car show, for God's sakes, like, you go to the car show, you want to see it, you want to taste it, you want to touch it, you want to be able to hold on to that vehicle and take a look at it in its glory. So come on down. There's going to be a lot of people that if you want to get into kayak fishing, and I tell this to people, if you want to get into kayak fishing, this is the show to go to, because these are a bunch of dudes sitting around eating, drinking with their kayaks. You can pick their brain on any question you want, on how you want to have them set up, how you tweak it. It is the best place information dump possible.
And he said, guys, I thought it was cool, Scylla, and we do seminars too. So they talk Mike Ortega with Northern Virginia Kayak Bass Association. He'll do a seminar, Basic 101. Scylla did some stuff. So they'll be talking about things. And then Emily, you had Emily on the show too.
Yes,
it was a great podcast. And I can remember when she came, and she had been fishing. It wasn't that she hadn't been fishing, had her kayak. She was out there, but for her to collaborate with Scylla and then jump on these other tournaments, and she's really taken off and making a name for herself. And she's doing it on her own. But the point is, to your point, it's an opportunity for you guys to network and kind of come together. You meet new friends. I mean, we've got some of the Bent Rod's, his pro staff. That's where they met at one of those shows, and so it's a great little community. So, like Thomas said, come on out.
Come check it out. Come on down to the Richmond Fishing Expo. The expo closes, they put it on the back of our badge. I'll sneak it right. They close at 5 p.m. So we got about 2 hours left, if I'm not mistaken, here. If you want to come in and get a couple more deals, the biggest thing about these expos is they give you deals right here. So if you want to come grab a few, come on down here and do that. If not, we'll be back at Jake's Bait and Tackle in a couple of weeks. Anything else?
Yes, I want to ask you. You've talked to a lot of people this weekend.
Oh, God, I have.
So what is your takeaway from the weekend?
So, Pro Tech, I'm going to say this is cool. I'm probably going to go over and buy it. It's expensive. I think it's like $200, $300.
Carly, know this?
Not yet. So,
okay.
They showed me this at Pro Tech. They have a box with every single fishing hook you need in one box that's organized into its own containers, labeled and organized, and you have one pack of each. And so what's nice about that is once you're done or you lose them all, you have the container, go buy those hooks, and you can put them right back into the container. But it has every single hook for any technique you want imaginable, one box.
Genius.
Is it expensive at first? 100%. But the fact is, you have the little boxes, which is what I really like, organized. So once I'm out with it, it's organized. And when I'm out, I know which one because it has it labeled, the size and everything. Boop, perfect.
And hooks are the worst.
Dude, hooks are terrible.
I mean, other than triple hooks and stuff, but that's, that sounds good.
The Phony Frog is legitly cool. Like, the idea of a soft glide bait is kind of cool. It sounded like in his eyes there's pain for how long it took him to figure that out, but I think that's a really cool bait there. Blitz also has a really cool minnow head that has a swivel on it, so it has complete freedom of movement. Really, really love that. The kayaks, maybe Carly and I will walk around a little bit and do a walkthrough of the kayak stuff. I know we really didn't have a chance to get a kayak guy on to talk about the kayaks here, but just to look at the new kayak that's out there that looks like a bass boat. It's an interesting idea. I'm curious to see where that goes. This is the first time I saw it in person, and I know it's a big dog. It's big as hell. And I think you know what I'm talking about. It's big. So that's interesting as well. A lot of cool painted baits are here. I'm trying to think of something that really blew my mind or blew my socks off.
Or any intel, any information, any inside.
Well, that is good. So that you can save me with. What was really interesting is to talk to everyone. The thing that blew up this show was the fact that we had a meet and greet, and we had Tyler Highpole, who, if you don't know, he did a thing on Friday where he went out there and dropped almost 40 pounds. And to him to say that I actually saw more fish that were just the same size. It wasn't just 5. It was a ton of fish in that same size category. We have hinted at, like, when is Lake Anna going to be, like, is it getting there to that A tier list? I think this is the beginning of that. This is the beginning of the dynasty of the Patriots, of Lake Anna being the place to go to. That was absolutely fascinating. I had some guys on talking about crankbaits and the fact that the reason balsa was so big back then is the trees weren't harvested before. So the ring density you can never find ever again because we never let trees age that long.
Interesting.
Blew my mind there with that. The differences with the spinner baits, with the Susky guys having that compact spinner bait, that's always super fascinating to me. The conversations you have when you just sit here, and the thing is, guys, we're going to be doing more meet and greets. I think Carly counted, we had 300 people at our booth for the meetup. That was insane. And I literally posted about it on Thursday. Next year, we're going to do a bigger meetup. I will promote it correctly to where we can just have people talk, because the conversations were fascinating about the glide baits and all the different kind of baits. And then Brian Lancaster, I've been wanting to have on for many years. And the fact that he said on this show, the reason Baltimore has a Bass Pro Shop is because of him.
Wow.
He did so many sales for the marina that gave them the impetus, like, okay, it's worth actually having a shop in Baltimore.
Wow.
That's like, I didn't know that. That's insane.
Yeah.
The fact that aluminum, the reason that boats became so expensive is the place we harbor most of our aluminum is Brazil.
Really?
And when there was that embargo back during COVID, it shut down. And Bass Pro Shop stopped making John boats for 3 to 4 years. And they just now kind of started to bring that back online.
Crazy.
Because of all that stuff that you don't hear behind the scenes.
Don't realize that, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. That to me is all interesting. And hopefully with the new stuff that's going on right now on Monday, hopefully a lot of that stuff will change.
Right.
For the better, we can get cheaper and cheaper prices. And the youth stuff, man. The youth stuff was... I had a kid come from Deep Creek Lake to say hi to me. And it's just interesting that he's doing the bass fishing thing. Jared being big into that side of things, to see the next generation is still healthy, it's still there. That's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, it is. It continues to grow. And I'm encouraged by that, too. From the young to the old, we've said this before, but, the young people that you see coming through here, it's a great tradition, and it's still alive. So, and I know people say, this show isn't what it used to be in the Bass-A-Rama days and how big it was, and that may be the case. It may be true, but I believe they had more vendors here this year than they did last year, and it kind of is our responsibility. And Thomas is doing this. It's all of our responsibilities to continue this tradition, to keep it alive, and that means you got to take a kid fishing. You know, and I know there's nothing wrong with video games. We grew up playing video games, but it's all about balance, and you can play those video games, but break away from that and get outside and fish. And same thing in the winter. Like, it's winter, it's cold, there's nothing to do. That 38-pound bag was caught this week in the wintertime. Mm-hmm. And so, get up and get out in the outdoors and fish and hunt and just get out and enjoy it. But it might take us bringing that person out, young or old.
No.
And so we have a responsibility.
We do have a responsibility. We really do. And then, guys, again, I can't thank you enough. We will have, I think, one more guest on at 3:30, but before then, I am going to get Jenny and Carly on real quick, because they're going to tell a story of something that actually happened this past weekend. So,
classic.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a short break here while we get them on to kind of tell this story.
Carly gives you a lot of content. From the boat flip comment to...
Oh, she does. She does.
The problem she doesn't know now is, like, if she's now wearing the brand, flying the flag, fishing the DMV, like, she's representing. And
so you're taking over. You're going to be telling a story of what happened this weekend.
Which one?
Yep, let's go for it. Yeah, this is the time. It's slow. Nope. You never take a break. Get in there.
All right. Come here, Carly.
Grab your chair.
Come on, baby. We always have so much fun. Does she get headphones? No? Oh, they're broken. She looks grumpy, Tom.
I wonder why. Alrighty, so you guys can scoot in a little bit closer here.
Good lord.
Alrighty, so we have...
Oh, look who came to watch.
We
Nick.
have an audience.
My
A live
husband. My
audience.
husband, Nick. He loves the story. He's been talking about it a lot.
I've not been talking about it.
Alrighty,
Okay.
so the other day, guys, sadly I was a little late to joining the festivities here in the morning. Why was I late, Carly?
Today? Or
No, yesterday.
My apologies. Well,
Yes.
so actually, Thomas, this story starts on Friday.
Go for it.
Ooh.
Friday morning, which I believe I told you. Friday morning, I ate breakfast at the Continental Hotel breakfast at our Best Western Hotel, right down the street from the Richmond Fishing Expo. And after I finished breakfast, I went to throw out my plasticware, and I looked up and I saw a sign above the trash can that said,
Ooh, we have a
please
picture of
don't
it.
throw your liquids in the trash can. And I thought, okay, good to know.
That's
I'm
a good
rule,
request.
Yeah, I'm a rule follower. I like to follow the rules. I keep those types of things in mind because I don't want to,
There's nothing worse than having liquid in a trash can
Yeah,
when
and
you're
I don't
taking it out and it
I
drips
don't
out
want to
through
ruin
the
anybody's
house.
day. I saw the cook going in there. I mean, she was going in and out of her little kitchen, coming out, scrubbing everything down. I was like, she works hard. So, cafeteria lady.
Cafeteria lady. She kept calling it the cafeteria, and I'm like, where? You have a cafeteria
What
in
do you
your
call
hotel?
it?
Like the eating area. It's the lobby.
So I should call her the eating area lady.
Let's go with the
Fair.
in-game situation recap, and then we can do the post-game breakdown of what happens.
Okay. All right. So, okay.
So next day, yesterday, Saturday morning, I go through my routine, sitting down, eating breakfast all by myself. But what happened was I ended up seeing a lot of people from the Richmond Fishing Expo, and we chatted it up. This one guy was
She's
like,
wearing a Fishing
hey,
the DMV shirt.
I'm famous. This is what I do for fun. I don't need this money. We make a ton of sales.
Oh.
Everybody knows who we are. Blah blah blah. Who are you? Introduce myself. I'm married to Thomas Aarons, host of the Fishing the DMV podcast. And he's like, how many subscribers do you have? Blah blah blah. I'm like, we're growing. We do our best. And then I saw another person as I'm standing up to throw away my trash. I have my plasticware, and then I also had a cup of coffee. And I saw this little can sitting on top of the trash can yesterday morning, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not supposed to throw my liquids out. I'm gonna go ahead and follow the rules. As I'm throwing away my plasticware, a woman behind me goes, oh my gosh, Fishing the DMV, we love this podcast. We can't wait to meet Tommy later today at the meet and greet. And I go, yay, thank you so much for the support, as I tell everyone. And then I pour my liquids in the little can above the trash can to follow the rules. So as I chuck my coffee cup into the trash can, I go ahead and I read what it says on that can, and it says thank you for your tips.
It was a tip jar
And
for
I go,
the cafeteria lady.
my heart just starts pounding. The blood all rushes away from my face. My ears just, I can't feel, I can't hear. I'm having a panic attack. And I go, surely there's no money in there. It's fine. I look in. There's like $15 worth of ones that are soaked
With coffee.
with my coffee. I filled that sucker up this much. So I just panic. This is all happening with me within the time frame of me going, thank you so much for the support. Look at it, read it, panic attack, grab that sucker. Everybody watches me grab the tip jar and run out of the cafeteria.
Now, I love this part of the story.
Where's our room?
In vision of the lobby, the
The
cafeteria.
lobby, the door is wide open. There's no swinging action, nothing. It's a sliding barn door, basically. It stays open. Our hotel room was across the hall from the cafeteria. I go to get my key out to scan it. I don't have a key with me. I'm standing outside my hotel room with a tip jar full of coffee, sloshing around those ones. And I just start pounding on the door. Thomas, let me in. He opens the door and he's like, what is wrong with you? And I go, I'm having a panic attack.
My favorite part of the story he interject here was, I think the fact that Thomas goes, I was in there putting my pants on.
As we team for this part of the story, I
don't even know if he had pants on when he answered the door. I don't even remember.
In view of the lobby.
I was putting my pants on. My mother answered the door because she was close to the bathroom. I was in the corner putting my pants on. She opens the door, and as I turn to look, my mother's right there. She looks like she just killed somebody. And she was clutching this thing. It looks like this little tin, can, for all dear life, like it's a football. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what did you say?
Well, no, your mom just goes, well, honey, you've just got to own it.
No. Not yet. You didn't tell us. Tell us what happened.
Okay, well, I explained what happened.
No, you said I'm having a panic attack.
Yeah,
I'm
she said
having
that.
a panic attack. I've got the ones, I'm clutching onto them, and I just run into the bathroom, and I just dump it all in the bathroom sink. Because I'm thinking, okay, I've got to fix. I've got to undo what I've done.
She's owning it.
So at this point, what happens is she tells me the situation and my mother that, hey, listen, I just went through what you guys just heard. What do I do? And at this point, I am like, I am out of here. This is, it's its own adventure, and I have things to do. And we had 2 vehicles, so I'm bouncing. And that's when my mother was like, oh, you need to do the right thing and own it. And I think there's different interpretations of what owning it means.
I would have just gone out and told them, hey, I'm really sorry.
She first wanted to cover it up, like bury it in the backyard.
No, she did not. That was not part of the story, Thomas.
I was going to fix it.
So she got the hair dryer out and was cleaning the laundered money.
So I literally was laundering dollar bills in our hotel
But
room.
she was nice and left a note.
I did. I left a note and a little $5 bill and was like, I'm so sorry, your cash is wet. I misunderstood
The assignment.
sign.
So here's the thing so we get a picture this morning from Thomas and Carly of the said trash can. Now, I have to admit, I thought it was going to be bigger. So, I mean, and I could see, but isn't that a trash can on top of a trash can?
Trash can on top of a trash can! A little teeny tiny one!
And
with
so,
like a swivel lid!
Put liquid
in the trash can.
Tips, please. We appreciate it. And now what I love is what I visualize is after these big middle-aged men were like, this is how much money we make. She's like, walks up, pours money in the tip jar.
That's what I think of their
grabs
tip.
it, and runs to the door and starts beating on it while everyone sees what you're doing. Like, what the hell is going on?
Oh my God. And but I have to admit, Carly, you tell the best stories. It was so great.
It's my life.
I mean, living with Tom.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
God.
But yeah, so we had a good time here.
I fixed it.
She fixed it. She owned it.
I fixed the problem.
Oh my God. But I was really, really expecting the little, because I'm like, not much liquid would go in there.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, they didn't think that through. They're requesting us to do something. And I did go back. I'm like, wait a minute. They don't want us to throw our liquids in the... Where are we supposed to throw our liquids?
That's what I would think. Where are you supposed to dump your liquids? There's
How
no
am I
sink.
supposed to follow the rule?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
What story do you have?
Do I have to tell my story? I don't know. What story am I telling?
Nick said you did.
That story will be available for the...
Oh, can't read?
That one is very meta. I don't know if there's much of it as an adventure versus subtext. Tell you what, we are making 2 shirts. Once the shirt is available, we will tell that story too. Because
Don't pour your liquids in the tip jar.
Yeah, and don't read with gang signs.
No, learn to read. Learn to read.
Oh, learn to read. Yeah, can't read.
And I made up to. I went to him and apologized today. They all thought it was hilarious.
Okay, good.
They did.
Good.
They did.
They didn't understand big words, and she did have to teach them how to actually, see it. But anyway, continuing with that, she tried to leave a note, but they couldn't read it.
Oh, gee. We have a.
They laundered money. They belittled God knows who. It's been a great weekend.
Well, we have to hang in there with them. you know.
All right, guys, we're going to be taking a quick 15 to 20 minute break here while we get our last guest and we do our end of show roundup. Again, thank you guys for hanging on as long as you did. Thank you guys for confessing thy sins to the world about how to launder money and
To apologize?
really mind F whoever's booth that was that you just did where, yeah, you smugly walked away. And
They
just
saw
it
me
was just-
today in the cafeteria.
Oh.
They saw me again. They're like, hey, how's it going? And they got their coffee and they walked right back out.
Guys, we're
Like
take
a
a quick
weirdo.
break. I'll
I
talk to
know.
you later. Bye.
But
Oh, my goodness.
years into catfishing, and I mean, this is what I do, and I love what I do. We target trophy-sized catfish. We've caught several fish over 100 pounds now, and we got news that there is a bill they're trying to push, and it's going to affect our fishery in a big way. In my opinion, it's going to be a negative impact, especially for our landlocked lakes. And what they're trying to do is, on all Virginia waters, they want to do away with the krill limit and the length limit. So you can basically come in and keep whatever you want, as much as you want. My fear is that's going to open the door up for commercial cat fishermen. And right now they want to do that on all Virginia waters as of this week. So that's going to include Kerr Lake, Lake Gaston, Lake Anna, Smith Mountain. I mean, that's just the 4 big lakes that I know about that I personally fish. That's going to include the James River as well. So just kind of want to let everybody who, that cares about something like this, take a little bit of time this week and dig into it. The best thing we can do right now is just email the delegates. And we have everything listed on our Facebook page. And just let them know, basically, I feel like not how much you care about catfishing, but let them know how much money you've invested into chasing trophy-sized catfish, or if you had a plan to go fishing, one of these bodies of water, and that if they come through and take out these trophy-sized fish, that you won't want to go here no more. I've got people that travel from Alaska, Canada, Indiana, Ohio. They come all the way down here to catch these big fish. So just kind of wanted to get the word out there, because this was pushed on 2 days ago that I just found out. This is the second bill that they've changed, and they're going to try to shoot it through next Wednesday. So
I have a couple of comments here. So I think it will also help people at home that aren't aware of this, is what is the purpose of this bill? What are they trying to accomplish?
I don't know that for a fact, because they haven't listed any science data saying they've talked to biologists or anything. What I have heard of, I haven't seen it in writing, is that there was a bill for a $250,000 processing plant to be installed last year. I think they got the bill. And if y'all haven't seen the price of catfish in restaurants lately, it's almost as much as a darn steak. So it's definitely got something to do with money, I feel like. Now, I do know that there are some lakes that there are too many catfish. All right. One thing that I see on the lake is I can take you anywhere on this lake and I can put you on 5-pound fish, 10-pound fish, anywhere. Not every section of the lake holds monster fish. And the problem is that we don't fish to live anymore. We're all fishing for fun. So if you, as far as a lake goes or a pond, if you're not taking fish out, the fish can't grow. But they're gonna keep having babies. So you got to find that balance, and I do think that we do need more smaller fish taken out. Not every fish is going to get to grow to be a giant. I'm 5'6". How tall are you?
6'1".
6'1". All right. I'm on. So just kind of keep that. It's all in the bloodline.
Question here on Instagram is this just for blues, channels, flatheads? ? Which species is this bill for?
It just says catfish. It didn't specify.
Okay.
So.
Good question, boss, on Instagram. Thank you so much for that. Because I guess targeting each species is a little different. I'm assuming it's probably not channels. That's not as much of an issue. And I'm just going to go in my crystal ball. Talking to the DWR in the past about invasive of blue, it's probably blue specifically that they're trying to do this for. If people want to get involved or get more information about this, what can they do? Where can they go?
You can go to the. I can tell you real quick. I just had it pulled up. I'm not real smart when it comes to politics and knowing how to navigate their websites and stuff. But I do know that we need to get in touch with our delegates. And
then, guys, what we're going to do is, we are almost about ready to close up here at Richmond. So I'm going to have Tim back on probably the show I don't know when we'll record it, but it'll probably drop in March, is when the show will drop, sometime in March. And we'll go a full in-depth thing with him on everything and all things catfishing in his business. I just really wanted to get him on now since the bill is probably going to be up in a couple of days, you said. So I really wanted to get that kind of out here. And I'll put a link in the episode description when I get home to talk about this stuff and where you can actually go to get involved. I'm assuming it's probably the DWR website, places like that, correct?
Yeah, the website that I found, it says it's LIS, Legislative Information System, .gov. It looks like you can find everything there. The bill, one of them is HB 2335, and then the other one from last week was HB 1907.
There you go.
And the big thing is we don't have a lot of time on this. And so if you like catfishing, I know we're all busy. I mean, it's hard to just take an hour away from the kids and the family, but just take a little bit of time and dig into this, because if you don't speak up when this bill goes through, you cannot complain. And, you know, it goes farther than just, for me, it goes farther than just my business. Catfishing kept me out of trouble growing up, and it gave me something where I felt like I fit in. Catfishing is something that you can easily catch, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to be able to go to do it necessarily. So just, you know, appreciate your support, and then we can dig into it later. I appreciate you having me on here, and looking forward to, you know, we meet up in a couple weeks.
Yes, absolutely. And I know, guys, there's a couple of comments coming through down here. I'm going to have Tim back on. Again, we're going to do a pre-recorded show like we normally do. It will drop sometime in March. We'll go in depth with him and everything. But I knew, talking to him offline, like, this bill is coming up, and I wanted to get that out there in the public. It is just interesting. Like, you know, I wanted to make sure that people are aware of this, because what ends up happening is you'll get bills snuck in, for better or worse. And it's not necessarily that they purposely do that. It's because of the bureaucracy that government is like. It's hard to get the message out. I am on the Black Bass Advisory Board for Maryland. I know sometimes it takes 3 weeks to get a message out, and it's not really out. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast. So please go check it out. Go Google it. Go find out. Do your own due diligence on this. I think no matter where you are on the fence of this, you should be learned in what is about to be passed, because government overreach can sometimes be a thing. And then also, always, quick plug, if people want to book a trip with you, where do they go?
You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, as long as it's here now, because it's back.
Knock on wood.
YouTube, Instagram. You can also give me a call. King's Catfishing Guide Service. We pretty much run 365 unless the water's frozen. And we do, we chase the big ones. And if y'all haven't seen them, come give us a call. Follow our page. See what we're about. And it's all about families, too. I love having my kids out there, my granddad. For me, everything is based around my family. I didn't have the best family life when I was a kid. And so I really include my kids, even my little 2-year-old girl. So we welcome that as well. A lot of folks don't want to bring their youngins out because they don't know if the boats can handle them, but we are equipped for it.
Tim, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, guys. Again, we'll have here shortly. We're just going to do our show wrap up now, just to be talking about what's going on. So this is what's going to be happening. Tomorrow is a federal holiday. I'm going to be dropping our next episode on Tuesday of our regular scheduled broadcast, and I'll be hitting the greatest hits from the Raleigh and Richmond shows as well. I'm going to be signing off here. Again, guys, a huge shout out. We had over like 340 Patreon members and people that showed up for the meet and greet yesterday, and I decided to do the meet and greet on Thursday before this thing happened, and that's how many people we had showed up. I was absolutely blessed to have that many people come. I really appreciate all the love and support as this thing keeps getting bigger and bigger. Please be all safe out on the roads. Like and subscribe to the channel, and we are signing off from the Richmond Fishing Expo. Thank you to everyone who watched, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your hosts Thomas Ahrens and Jared Mounts. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 28 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and the Weekend Warrior tier will be closed to the general public. All members will be locked in indefinitely at a fantastic price point, and they will get all the benefits that they have today, plus any new benefits and discounts that will be added in the future. All weekend warriors will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rod. They'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members only content. And in 2025, there are going to be tournaments that will be given a massive discount specifically to our weekend warrior members. Plus, if you sign up for the year right now, you will get 8% off your already fantastically discounted rate to join the Weekend Warrior program. Link in the episode description. Thank you.